Hey everybody, I'm Matt Frank, Director of Tech Evangelism here at Blackthorne.io, and I am so excited to talk to you about today's session, which is events on Salesforce, which is a very non-scary proposition, and it opens up a whole new world for you in terms of data residency and adopting a return on event mindset. So let's talk about it. Let's get into this. We're going to do a quick introduction, who Blackthorne is, why we're putting on this presentation, why we're the authority on the subject. Then we'll talk about a few bullet points about the benefits of hosting events on Salesforce, maybe some considerations you might want to bring in as you discuss this as an organization, targeted communications, using ISV tools versus custom dev, CRM first approach, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're going to have a wrap up. So how can Blackthorne help? And a little call to action, which you'll see in the description field surrounding this video. So who is Blackthorne and why should I listen? Two really important questions, and I'm happy you asked. PowerPoint presentation in front of me. So Blackthorne is a product partner, sometimes called an App Exchange ISV partner of Salesforce. Been around since 2015. We've got about 100 staff and 7 apps, but the one we're really leaning on today in terms of our organizational experience is the Blackthorne Events app. And you see that on the right-hand side of your page. We are industry experts in events on Salesforce. These are learner events, these are educational events, conferences, simple meetups, customer acquisition, customer engagement events, you name it, we've probably done it because we work across all industries with our 500 plus customers. And again, everything we do is native to Salesforce, which is a big benefit to us at Blackthorne because it means all of our architecture, all of our automation, all of our data lives in the CRM that you're using at all times. And of course, we've got over 200 App Exchange reviews and they're 5-star rated. And we love that. Thank you for the reviews that people have left so far. Now, me, the person talking to you on the screen, I'm Matt Frank. I'm the Director of Tech Evangelism, Product Marketing at Blackthorne. That QR code will take you to my LinkedIn profile. Please connect with me there, engage with me. If you have follow-up questions or you just want to continue this discussion, more than happy to do it. I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem for over 8 years, and prior to that, I was working for nonprofits, universities, financial services organizations, even a little bit of commercial retail, but I focused in on technology experience, program management, and events management, which is why I'm here talking to you. Now, I'm a Trailhead double ranger as well. So if you haven't adopted Trailhead as an adoption and engagement strategy for rolling out Salesforce across your organization, I highly, highly suggest that you do it. It'll not only benefit you in terms of understanding the underlying architecture of Salesforce, but it'll help you with moving new processes and new departments onto Salesforce, like an events team or a marketing team. And then the last thing here, my team always makes me include this. I make a very mean spicy mayonnaise. I'm not going to give you all the secrets on this, but smoked chipotle can make a huge difference, specifically for smoked. If you want the full recipe, click that QR code, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to chat with you about it. Now, the base level for everything that we're going to talk about now is a return on events mindset. So let's get into it and find out what that is. First and foremost, it's an organizational mindset. It's not something that you can do as an individual, but as an individual, you can help influence a team or an organization to adopt this new strategy. Now, let's go back even further. Event ROI, or return on investment. Traditionally, it's value over cost, and that's a simple equation. Did I make my money back? Did I have the effect I needed to? Did I make any additional revenue so I'm in the black, not in the red? That's really what you're asking. But a return on event mindset looks way more broadly than just traditional profit and loss. It views event data as part of an overall data management and enrichment policy that works for your organization based upon the reality of your organization. And most importantly, it's used to provide constituents. Now that means customers, members, donors, students, however you refer to the people who consume your products or services. It provides them with a personalized experience to show them that you know them, and that's a really key indicator towards repeat business with every organization in every industry. And it's what they've come to expect from the digital properties they use really often, like Amazon or Instagram or Snap. They show them that they know them. That's part of why they keep coming back. Adopting a return on event mindset for your organization allows you to do that as well. It allows you to use your data for the good of your organization and its constituents while looking at it as part of an overall system to measure impact and set up KPIs across your organization. Now, a quote I've said before, and I'm going to reuse it here. Gathering data on event attendees is great. I mean, it's wonderful. No matter how you're doing it, that data is useful to you. But using that data to advance the goals while enhancing your constituent experience is using that data for good. And that is, in an essence, what a return on an event mindset is: using your data for the good of your organization and the good of your constituents. Now, here's some common problems that really hinder that return on event mindset for organizations that may be using Salesforce for part of their organization, but they're not hosting their events inside of the CRM. So we start to see homegrown solutions, and that has a negative effect because it's all custom dev or a string of non-event apps that have sort of been loosely put together to maybe give you the feel of a cohesive conferencing application. Or you have these really tall, really skinny app stacks, and it's clunky for customers to use. It's unscalable. The UI just stinks. Let's call it what it is. And you can't segment students or prospects or buyers into the right journeys. And for that, I mean purchasing journeys, marketing journeys, communication journeys. And that is just totally unsustainable. Partially because, well, custom dev makes you vendor dependent, but it also only meets the needs of your organization for the time that it's built, not for the long term, or when you have personnel changes and you have different priority changes at your organization. Now, you might be saying, we don't have a homegrown solution. We have an integrated solution. Well, problems there too. You may have maybe using an events management tool that has a connector on the App Exchange, and that's great. But what happens if that integration gets deprecated? What do you do? Do you call the event management company? Do you try to call Salesforce? Do you bring in a consulting partner to try to figure this out? It puts you in a bad position. What if you've built a custom integration though? Let's say you're using an off-platform tool that doesn't have a pre-built connector to Salesforce, and so you've built an API-based integration, or you have a middleware tool that's providing it for you. Well, that's great for the time that it's built, but it can get costly, and it does make you vendor dependent anytime the API changes or the connection changes with the middleware tool. That leaves you going back to the old school way, what I used to do before we had CRM tools with event management capabilities in the industries that I worked in. And that is the manual download and upload of spreadsheets between different systems, which means probable data loss, which means that at certain points in the process, your data is insecure because it is outside of an encrypted protected system, and it's super clunky to update because the data is not in real time. So you're probably using stale and duplicated data across multiple systems, which helps, well, it helps instill some of the problems you may already be having with data cleanliness and hygiene. And this speaks to the sort of data everywhere point that I'm making here at the end. So if you're using multiple systems to host your events off of your CRM, where do you report on things? How do you report on things? Is your data good, clean, consistent, hygienic? Can the data be used in marketing tools like Pardot or Marketing Cloud, or do you have to download, upload, multi-source integration, make it super complicated? Can the data initiate automation like flows to move you along a customer journey, a learner journey, a student journey, an enrollment journey? And this is another important piece here at the end. Where's your payment information? Is it in the off-platform event system? Is it in your payment processor? Is it in another tool? Where is it? And how do you map that against your registrations to confirm that, or as an organization, you've gotten paid? So This all begs a quick question. How do you show constituents, and this is defined here as members, donors, learners, prospects, however you define them for your organization, they're the people that consume your products and services. How do you show them that you know them if you're using an off-platform tool? It's really hard to do. And the answer, of course, is moving things onto Salesforce. So this speaks to our CRM first approach. And the biggest part of this, the thing that I really want you to take home of using a Salesforce first approach, is you have advanced capabilities around reporting and reportability. Salesforce makes it super duper easy to report on every aspect of your events. So just do it. Just do it. Don't fight me on this. Come on, guys. You know you want to do it. So what you see on the right-hand side of the screen, and I know these are small pictures, is traditional Salesforce reports and dashboards being used to report on every aspect of your event. That could be financials, it could be attendance, it could be engagement, it could be managing a cross-object report where you're looking at engagement at events versus eventual enrollment or donorship or membership attrition or subscription attrition across your organization. So here's a few areas that you can take advantage of just by moving your events into Salesforce. Financial reporting. I know we're talking about return on events, but P&L does factor in here. So you can do that by bringing things into Salesforce. Ticket revenue, donations, and even campaign attribution. So if you're using an ISV tool, that's a Salesforce App Exchange partner that allows you to add attendees for events to campaigns as campaign members. You can then attribute that campaign to a future purchasing opportunity and see that it's influenced it, whether it's donations or just regular old sales. That's really important. You can't do that off platform. You're also able to track constituent engagement, right? Who's attended over time? Have they filled out surveys? Have they engaged with you through donorship, enrollment, membership? And is it going up? Is it going down? Is it sort of leveling off? You can use this as an additional data point as you're trying to figure out what works for the audiences that you engage with. Now, for those of you who are nonprofits or educational institutions or mission-driven organizations, you may have year-end reports that you're generating, around New Year's each year. Well, how did event engagement, how does that get included into your impact reports? Whether it's credits earned by learners, volunteers, whether it is the amount of donations that are made or grants given, you really need to be able to track all of this in a single space. Doing it off of your platform, off of Salesforce, hinders your ability to do that. But bringing the events data into Salesforce, along with Grant Cloud or Volunteers for Salesforce or any of the other tools that you're using, allows you to have pre-built consolidated reports that you can then use towards a larger impact assessment for your organization. It saves time, it saves man hours, and of course, it saves money, which is always important. And then lastly, there's tools that you can use because all your data is in one place, making your staff's lives easier. There's traditional Salesforce reports and dashboards, like you see on the right-hand side of the screen there. But there's also analytics tools like Tableau and AI tools like Einstein, which can give you really deep insights into this data, whether it's events related or not, or you're using events to enhance the data that you have in other areas. And this is true regardless of the Salesforce architecture that you use. Service Cloud, Sales Cloud, Nonprofit Cloud, Financial Services Cloud. Getting a good tool that is agnostic to the architecture that you have within Salesforce really keeps you on that path towards a comprehensive data management policy, like we talked about the definition of return on events mindsets. Some tools really only work with a single data architecture, whether it's person accounts or accounts and contacts, or maybe it only works with the education cloud data architecture. Try not to limit yourself with that unless your organization is never going to leave that particular data structure. And of course, the benefits to a Salesforce native event application for experienced or existing Salesforce users versus net new or people considering Salesforce are a bit different. So let's start with existing Salesforce customers. You've already invested in Salesforce. This helps you further maximize that investment by having a single source of truth for all of your data across all of your departments. Now, this also helps increase user adoption by having a single system that all your teams can work in. Now, at Blackthorne, we've even worked with organizations that have used event management as part of their onboarding and training program as they've rolled Salesforce out from department to department across their organization. And by getting people who are invested in engagement involved in adoption, it's really increased that metrics and made Salesforce adoption across their organizations go a lot more smoothly and easier. It also allows you to automate things like follow-up communications, whether you're using communication tools within a ISV product, or you're using campaigns, or you're using a connected marketing tech tool like Marketing Cloud or Pardot. And it makes it a lot easier. And you can also set up follow-up tasks, again, using automation, tasks and activities within Salesforce or a tool like Slack, so that everyone's always up to date with the latest data. You can capture the marketing channel for the source of registration for all teams. This is really important too. So you may have a client acquisition team and a client success team, both working to engage customers and prospects. And you really want to know where the attendees are coming from, which channel. You can manage that all within Salesforce. And again, it allows you to build on that data model that you have today without preventing, future stalls in growth. For those who are net new to Salesforce, or you're thinking about adopting Salesforce, think about it like this. Your organization hosts events all the time, maybe daily, maybe weekly, monthly, semi-annually, or sometimes annually. And you're using non-native tools to manage that today, so a point solution. By bringing that into Salesforce and using a CRM native tool to fill the need, you have now reduced the number of vendors you're working with, and you've enriched the overall data of your organization. That's really important. It also allows you to simplify things like record creation across all of your stakeholders, which reduces data duplication. Say it with me again, reducing data duplication. Super duper important. You don't need 3 of the same contact in your organization, especially if it's by accident. By using a CRM native tool or a Salesforce native tool, what you're able to do is run deduplication and matching rules with all of your event registrations, making sure that the right attendee records are mapped to the right accounts, contacts, and leads within your org. You can also streamline outreach pre and post event, again, using a connected marketing tech stacks sort of a tool like a Pardot or a Marketing Cloud, or even an ISV product like a Campaign Monitor or a MailChimp or any of the other number of tools that are out there. But it also allows you to use surveys and map that back to attendees, which are connected to contacts all within your organization. You see how it's all building on itself. And then, of course, you can be live really quickly. Instead of having to stand things up outside of your CRM and then integrate it into Salesforce, you're now installing an application directly into your Salesforce CRM with no integration requirements, and you're able to stand things up quickly because all you're doing is adding permission sets and licenses to existing users in your org and stepping through a training program. So I have an example at the bottom of how this can help, and I've used donors and members as an example here. But again, this could work across any industry or organization type. By having the full life cycle of your events inside of Salesforce, you can take someone from a prospective donor or member to a one-time donor or member to a recurring donor or member using Salesforce native tools like Marketing Cloud, like Pardot, which is now an engagement tool. And you're able to really capitalize on that IT investment or digital investment to the benefit of your constituents. And finally, having an event solution that's your own with easy configuration and no or low code options added to it helps encourage adoption for people who may be laggards and don't want to move to a new tool or a new way of doing things, because this is, and I'm going to use air quotes here, how it's always been done. Showing people the benefit of a better way, especially if it saves them time so they can focus on other projects, is a fantastic reason to adopt a Salesforce native events application. Now, there's several options available to you. I personally suggest that you look at the Salesforce App Exchange for all the events management tools that are available to you and evaluate them based upon your criteria. Have informal and informational conversations with their teams. Learn about their organizations, their pros and cons, their benefits, where they may be lacking in certain functionality, and make an informed decision. Read those reviews. The App Exchange is there to encourage and help your adoption of Salesforce tools, and there's honest reviews of all of the apps that are available to you on that page. You can then maybe use a Salesforce consulting partner. Lord knows Blackthorne has plenty, to then incorporate that data into other aspects of the Salesforce ecosystem. That could mean adding it into Tableau so that you could do that deep analytics, which we talked about before, or moving the communication surrounding your events, whether they're transactional or marketing or operational, into Marketing Cloud or Pardot, or even using MuleSoft to push and pull data from your events, which are in Salesforce, into other systems, which maybe at this point in time can't be brought into Salesforce for whatever reason, and there are plenty of legitimate reasons out there. But starting with a Salesforce solution, native Salesforce solution, to enrich your single source of data, which is Salesforce, allows all of these other possibilities to take place in a much more meaningful and easier fashion. Here's a couple of examples. Now, these are Blackthorne customers, but I just wanted to show them to you so you can get an idea of how this helps organizations. Starting with the University of Arizona, they were using a bunch of different event apps, Cvent, Eventbrite, and a number of others for communications around events, attendee data. They had a bunch of different e-marketing tools. By adopting Salesforce university-wide, and there's some great examples of this. If you go on YouTube, you'll be able to see University of Arizona and Marketing Cloud, some of the great work they've done there. They were able to bring in multiple event apps, multiple marketing apps into a single consolidated app stack. It allowed scalability. It was one platform for all events in Salesforce. There was no more missing attendee data or missing attendee insights. That data loss is gone. They spent a lot less time on event logistics and more time engaging with the people at the events that they hosted. And they had a holistic view of attendee data, which actually helped inform student data from the point of enrollment or pre-enrollment, actually, all the way through to alumni status and moving them into sort of that donor relationship with the organization. This wouldn't have been possible without moving their events and marketing into Salesforce as a single source of truth with a lot of automation built around it. Just to show you a different perspective, change in industry here, we've moved over to health and life sciences, Unity Point Health. They were needed to host in-person events and virtual events. And as COVID hit, they needed to be able to move maternity classes, as a great example here, online and increase their transition to Health Cloud across the organization. So they needed to be able to host virtual events, and they needed to be able to really increase that adoption around the organization. So what did they do? They adopted a Salesforce native tool. They used point and click tools and interfaces to make it really easy for event organizers, program managers to build the courses that they needed in a stable, repeatable manner. And they used it as an adoption tool as they rolled Health Cloud out across the organization. It provided flexibility, reportability, and it just made their lives a lot easier. So let's take it a step forward, and we're going to talk about how Blackthorne can help. So what does Blackthorne do? First, we look at all this centralized data, right? So if you have an off-platform solution, you've got your registration, your web pages, your surveys, your attendee apps, your emails, my dog barking in the background. All of that is off-platform, and you either have to manually import, export it, or you need to use an API hook to bring that data into Salesforce. Well, Blackthorne sort of flips that on its head. What we do is we take all of these features and we start centralizing them into Salesforce, the emails, the contact matching, the reports, the workflows, the registration pages. And we start moving it around to Sales Cloud, Einstein, Community Cloud, everything else that you're using to engage with your constituents and your staff. Registrations, surveys, check-in, even a mobile check-in app for staff and volunteers is all available to you, and it's all native to Salesforce. It's all in one place, one platform, one source of truth for centralized data for all of your events to help your organization adopt that return on events mindset. So thank you very much. I truly appreciate your time for this session. If you have any questions, come to blackthorne.io or visit us on the App Exchange. Just search for Blackthorne Events. We'll be right there. Thank you so much.